Yeah. Okay.
Or make it bleed.
Or make it bleed.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me what you mean by bleed. Are we talking,
All right, Hadoop,
what was that?
Hadoop wood.
Okay.
It bleeds and it's red.
Mhm.
Put a finish on it, it will bleed. So if you can find something that flashes fast, other than lacquer.
Interesting. I will make a note of that. That's not one I've come across myself, but I will absolutely look into that for you.
I mean, shellac will even, it'll bleed in the shellac.
Exterior finishes, that is. This is
Oh,
great.
I've got something for you on that tonight. That's good. Sweet. All right. So does everybody have their handout here, or are we still gonna get into the back?
Yeah, they're coming down. Here's another.
Jack Lavish, Lavis. Yeah, a lot of people like to make jokes about living lavish, and I'm really trying to live up to that. So hopefully I can get there one day.
Oh, they still have last name.
Yeah.
You know what, it could be a lot worse. I've had a lot of interactions over the years where people think my name is are you a movie star, you a singer, or you some other things that maybe I won't mention here, but I've heard some interesting things over the years. So the way I structured this pamphlet, the first page goes over, wood conditioners, tintable and prepackaged stain colors, and then a few different options for clear coats. And then on the back page, I've got paints and primers available for anybody that's looking for solid colors on any of their wood products. So let's just get started with the wood conditioner. So one thing that I always recommend when it comes to any sort of staining project, it helps to have a wood conditioner first. Basically what that is a product that you just apply to the surface of the wood that you're going to be preparing. And basically it opens up the pores of the wood. Think about it like an exfoliant in a skincare routine. It has a way of opening up the pores of the wood so that it makes the stain more even. It'll help prevent any sort of blotchiness. I'm sure many of you have done some staining projects before, and maybe if you let the stain sit a little too long on the wood, or just in general, even if you wipe it off quick, sometimes the wood will take it heavier in certain spots than it does in others. So using a wood conditioner 10 to 15 minutes before you go ahead with the actual stain will help even out the color consistency within the wood. So from there, I have a few different options in terms of wiping stains. Some of these stains can be applied with a foam brush or a natural bristle brush as well. We do have some water-based options, but typically I and most of the professionals I work with tend to prefer the oil-based products. They tend to give a little bit richer color. They're a little bit more predictable to work with. The only real noticeable benefit when it comes to water-based stains is just it's less smelly, it's easy cleanup. But I mean, an oil-based stain is all reliable, right? There's certain things that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and that's kind of how I feel about these. So the main wood stains we carry, and the main one that I personally like working with is our Sherwood BAC wiping stain. So that product, it's designed specifically to be wiped on, wiped off. Most people are going to apply it with a rag. It comes in a handful of prepackaged colors, but the nice thing is all of our Sherwin-Williams stores do offer custom stain matching. So if you've ever got a specific color you're trying to hit, the nice thing is you can bring in basically a piece of finished wood in whatever color you're looking for, alongside an unfinished piece of whatever type of wood it is that you're going to be working with. And the store, typically within a couple of business days, will get pretty much dead on match for you. This is the base or the stain that we are going to be using most of the time, just because it's a little bit easier to work with. The Minwax stain in comparison tends to be a little bit thicker. Ultimately, it's kind of down to personal preference, whether you like that, but more often than not, I find that people prefer the slightly thinner consistency of the BAC wiping stain.
When you're matching this, he didn't use the same wood to match with.
Correct. Yes. So if you are going to be staining, a maple cabinet, please don't bring us a piece of pine. It's probably going to look a little off. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Is that something you charge for, or is that a service?
There is no additional charge whatsoever for any sort of custom stain methods, whether it's paints, whether it's stains. We charge just for the products themselves. There's no additional charge for any of that service. The one thing I did mention is that, typically it takes a couple of days, because with our paints, any sort of solid color, coatings, we have an actual scanner tool that can help generate a formula and point us in the right direction, but when it comes to the actual wood stains, we're doing all those matches by eye. So that's why it can take a little bit longer, but, you know, we try our best to get a good match for you every time. So let's see here. So where were we? Yeah, so there's a lot of different colors available. I mean, within that, pretty much any wood finish you could ever think of in terms of anything from a lighter golden color all the way to a darker, rich, you know, maybe a chestnut tone and ebony tone. There's a lot of different options in there. It's a very nice workable product, and personally, I like using it a lot. The only thing I would mention about the Sherwood, I don't know if anybody does any sort of floor refinishing in here, any sort of hardwood floors. That's not a product I would recommend for hardwood floors. It does have a tendency with floor clear coats to occasionally re-wet. The product might get reactivated, which can cause, once again, blotchiness and inconsistency in the color. So that product, I don't think, I didn't hear, as everybody was shouting out the kind of projects they do, I didn't hear too many people say I'm doing hardwood floors. So it doesn't sound like too much of a concern for the room here. So next, we've got two different Minwax wood products. So Sherwin-Williams actually owns Minwax. So rather than develop a lot of our own additional stains on top of the shade that we offer, we keep a full line of Minwax products in our stores. So Minwax, the standard wood finish, is the standard oil-based stain that has been around forever. It's in a variety of prepackaged colors. It's available at every location. And you know, for basic projects, we're not looking on custom colors. We're just looking to find something in the general ballpark of what you're looking for. It's a good, reliable product. If you are looking for something custom tinted in the Minwax family, we do have a performance series product. That one is going to be tintable, so we've got a lot more options in terms of colors with that one. And the nice thing with the performance series, it is spec'd for floors. You can use that product on a wood floor, and also you have a quicker recoat time. So compared to the standard Minwax, which, let me see here, I think I have a cheat sheet. So yeah, the standard oil-based Minwax, you're looking at anywhere from 8 to 24 hours for a recoat time. The Minwax Performance Series, it dries quick enough that you can do a coat of stain and 2 coats of finish all in the same day. So if you're looking for a little bit quicker turnaround time, that Performance Series is a nice option, just because it lets you keep moving with the project a little bit quicker, especially if you're working on smaller stuff like this. I know they mentioned maybe stains are not the best for these toys in particular, but if you're working on other small projects and you want to stain it and you don't want to wait a whole day to come back and quick coat it, that's a good option for you.
Is that product, is it tintable in colors? I mean, not just stain colors, you know, like mahogany and walnut, but is it tintable in like red, blues, you know, oranges?
I would say somewhat. So there are some colors within the palette, like I've got a little pamphlet here, and there are some options you can kind of see here. So there are some blue, green, reddish tones. But I mean, it's not going to be as vivid or as, you know, potent of a color as a full-blown solid color coating. So before we get into the top coats and all the clears, does anybody have any questions on the stains?
Water-based stains, or do you only offer the WWG stains?
Yes, so we do have water-based stains as well. Both the Minwax pre-stain wood conditioner and the Minwax wood stain is available in a water-based version. So if you're looking for something with less odor, easier cleanup, that is available in both of those products.
Is it carried in stores or is it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I will say the oil-based products are typically kept, there's more stock typically in any given store, but those products are regularly carried on our shelves. Yep. Any other questions? All right.
I think Rich has one back there.
What do we got?
On the Sherwood, the PVC wiping stain, the last bullet point there says use under spray applied Sherwood sealer and top coat system. Do I take that to mean that you don't use a pre-stain conditioner and then put this stain on, or the stain is only for raw wood and then you stick it?
So you can use a pre-stain wood conditioner, you can, so pre-stain more often than not, I primarily recommend it for a lot of the softer woods. So like pine, birch, things like that. A pre-stain is typically recommended with those woods just to help it, absorb the stain better. This product, I personally applied it directly to bare wood, I've applied it after a pre-stain. It functions under both circumstances, so it's not a product that necessarily needs the wood conditioner. That point is more so guided towards the fact that, for any of our, catalyzed products, any of our two-part lacquers or sanding sealers or anything like that, that are typically meant for spray application, this product will hold up under those clear coats as well. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else? All right, perfect. So, I did pretty much stick to coatings that are meant to be brushed on for this application. I don't know, does anybody here have any sort of paint sprayers or anything like that? Okay, so I can definitely talk a little bit too on some of the sprayable products as well, some of our lacquers and conversion varnish, things like that, if anybody's interested. But let's start with the basics here. So we've got the Minwax fast drying polyurethane. So this is going to be a standard oil-based polyurethane. When it comes to interior woodwork, this is going to be one of the more durable options. It's just a nice, friendly to use product. You can brush it right on. For anybody that hasn't applied any sort of clear coats before, one thing, there's a common misconception that you can brush or roll some of these. And personally, I've encountered some issues with rollers, mini rollers, foam rollers, anything like that, leaving bubbles in the finish. That's something that you want to avoid. Obviously, if you want a clear coat, you want it to be smooth like glass. So a nice, easy way to avoid that situation is always just sticking with a brush for your polys. In particular, you want to stick with, if you're using an oil-based coating, you want to use something that's a natural bristle brush. You don't want something synthetic. They don't always hold up the best to the materials in an oil-based product. And a lot of times a softer bristle brush will help too in order to reduce any sort of streaks in the finish. One thing I do keep with me as a rep, just to kind of show examples, we do have this brush and roller selection guide. And the nice thing, if you go into any paint store, be it a Sherwin-Williams or anywhere else, I'm sure you'll notice that you look at the wall, there's a million different types of brushes and rollers. One of the points that I always like to make is, we don't carry 26 brushes if you only really need 3 of them, right? There's a reason we have so many. And typically, what that comes down to is what the material is made of. So if you're working with a solvent or oil-based lacquer, a clear coat, a paint versus something water-based, there's a different type of bristle that I would recommend based on the different products, as well as a different stiffness. So if you're working with a stiffer or a thicker product, you're going to want a stiffer brush. It's hard to cut a nice clean line if you've got a brush that can't support the weight of the coating that you're applying. So I don't need to go into too much technical detail on the specific brushes and rollers for every product, but one thing I would say is, if you're going into the store, if you're looking to pick up anything in general, it's not a bad idea to just ask somebody at the store, hey, this is the product I'm going to be working with. What's the best applicator, just to make sure that I'm getting the right finish? So moving on from the fast drying polyurethane, we also have what we call a hybrid version of it. So when I refer to a hybrid, it basically means a water-based coating that's modified with some oil resins to give the coating some properties of an oil-based product. So typically when you think of oil products, you think of something that flows smoothly, levels out nicely, and has a good durable finish to it. But the nice thing with these hybrid coatings is the fact that you can still clean it up with soap and water. So you get a little bit more of the usability and the durability of an oil base, but it doesn't smell. I know that a lot of times those VOCs, it can cause headaches. So that's a nice option that can clean up with soap and water. It does everything that the standard polyurethane does, just with a little bit less smell to it. And then moving on to the polyacrylic.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
Does the oil modified amber the same as the fast drying poly?
So it depends on certain products that are water-based don't amber the same way that the oil-based versions do. This product in particular, that hybrid coating does still provide an ambering tone too.
Same as the poly?
Let me put it this way, if I had, let's say I was doing some cabinets that were primarily finished with the oil, and I had one cabinet door left, I wouldn't go and use the water base on it, because you'd probably notice a small difference, but. I mean, if you're not putting them side by side, it's still gonna provide that kind of warmth to it that you'd look for. Any other questions? All right, so who had the question about clear coats that don't amber? There we go. All right. So this next product is for you. So polycrylic. Polycrylic is a 100% water-based polyurethane, meant for a lot of the same uses, a lot of the same purposes as the previous products I've talked about. But the nice thing with that being 100% water-based, it provides that clear finish. So if you are looking for something, if you are in love with either the natural color of the wood or, you know, the particular shade, the way the wood looks after the stain, you don't want it looking any different. You don't want to add any additional warmth. This product is dries crystal clear so that, you know, it's going to look the same way you did before, just a little bit shinier. So that gives you an option in terms of non-ambering finishes. And then to go to the other question that was addressed earlier regarding UV resistance, in the bottom right corner, we've got our Minwax Helmsman spar urethane. So what a spar urethane does that a standard polyurethane doesn't is a spar urethane is UV resistant. So it will resist the yellowing, the graying, the degrading effects that the sun can have to a coating and to the color over time. So let's say you are making some outdoor furniture. This is what I would recommend to keep it looking nice and keep it from fading from that sunlight over time.
How often would you recommend that get recoated if you have outdoor furniture?
Outdoor furniture? Well, I mean, it's gonna depend on a couple of things, right? Are you leaving it outside all winter?
Of course.
Okay,
Oh,
maybe next
so
year.
far? You said outdoor.
You know, I mean, a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
these things, you know, when it comes to exterior woodwork, and I'll use decks as an example. You know, everybody loves a nice deck, you know, hang out with the family, grill some burgers, all that kind of stuff. But decks are a heck of a maintenance item. I mean, the way I look at any sort of exterior coating, I almost like comparing it to sunscreen, right? So if we're taking an exterior deck, you've got a solid color on it. I liken that to SPF 50, where you've got a thicker coating on there. It's going to protect the wood more long term. If you got a semi-transparent where you can see some of that wood grain coming through, there's still a coating on there that's protecting the wood, but you're looking more like SPF 15, where, you know, if you're out in the hot sun, it's not quite doing as much for you. So, you know, when I think about clear coats outside, you know, typically 1 to 2 years is pretty typical for something that's going to be left outside year round in the Wisconsin winters that we're dealing with. I mean, it's April. You saw how it looked out there this morning. So unfortunately, Mother Nature's not really on our side when it comes to the weather that we deal with. And I mean, yeah, I will say it's, you know, they're good products, but there's only so much you can do when accounting for the winter weathers, all the standing snow and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yes, sir.
If you're using somebody else's, outside finish, whatever, can a person bring that finish into you guys, say, what will work with this that you have?
Mhm.
And there are stuff that will work with anybody that's got oil base or water base, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So are you saying like if you bring in, you know, a stain from another company?
Well, what they're using for this, project, which I did not pick out, they brought us, I had no input into picking it out. And it's Blair, I think it's Blair outdoor wood finish, somebody translucent.
Mhm.
And if they want to add more protection than what that is giving, that they could take like maybe that spur to that translucent finish that was originally put on.
Are we talking like for a deck or for furniture? What do you?
Well, the game things are gonna be outside. So
Gotcha,
they're
okay.
using outside
Understood.
paint,
Understood.
but it's like the transparent deck paint,
Got it.
Is it already, right?
huh?
Are you saying match it or?
Well, I'm saying in the future, if they want to ad protection that there's something that they would have that can go over that, Blair. It's a Blair house paint, I think.
It'll go over
that
the
can-
existing tenant.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of these clear coats are designed to go over raw wood or over stained wood. I mean, if you've got something that's a little bit more pigmented, like maybe we call it a semi-solid finish or something like
well,
that.
it is like a semi-solid, because they thought they were getting clear, woke up, yeah, no, you're not getting clear, you're getting semi-solid, it's transparent,
Mhm.
translucent.
Yeah, well, in that case, I mean, yeah, a little bit of it comes down to compatibility, but in general, if you're, if you're working with oil-based or water-based, we'll have options for both. The nice thing, like that Minwax as well, the spar urethane, there is a water-based version as well. So if there's concerns about compatibility, we've got versions in both oil and water, and between the two of them, they'll stick to pretty much
I mean, if I would pick it out, I would maybe like a spur type finish for it, but I didn't pick it up.
anything. Well, hey, maybe next time, right?
The difference between solid stain and, is that a hybrid of paint and stain? Or is there some difference between a vertical surface versus a horizontal surface that you would apply it to?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about, are we talking specifically like exterior?
Exterior, yeah.
Okay,
like a
got it.
garage door versus a deck.
Yes, absolutely. So speaking from the Sherwin-Williams point of view, we do have two different exterior solid stains. One's meant for vertical surfaces and one is more meant for horizontal. So the main difference being that, the product super deck is what we call it. We have a whole deck line of different products ranging from a full transparent clear sealer all the way up to full solid color. We've got semi-transparent, semi-solids, basically just getting more solid as you go along. That product can hold up on a vertical surface. So for example, if you've got a deck and you got railings around it, it's got no problem with that. It's just that, our other solid stain Woodscapes, which is a product typically meant for siding and fences, that product is not rated for foot traffic. So I would not recommend putting that on the deck.
What about resilience?
So Resilience has actually been discontinued.
Really?
Yes, so Resilience was one of our premium exterior paints that got discontinued back in, I want to say 2022. There's a new product that came out in its place called Latitude. It's a great product. It's paint and primer and one, great moisture resistance. That's a product actually that if you paint in the morning and it rains in the afternoon, you don't have to have a heart attack because it's not dribbling paint down your siding. That one's got some pretty cool technology to it, but yeah, if we're talking siding, that's a good route to go. In general, if we're talking any sort of horizontal surfaces for exteriors, I would stick to our super deck line.
I had I've been trying to maintain a cedar deck for like 35 years. And I was at a Muskego store and you did refer me to a product. And I think if I recall, the name was Rymar.
Great product, yeah, absolutely.
That has been an exceptional product for cedar deck sitting lace.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, off the record, I'm not supposed to talk about that too much because we don't make it, but I love that stuff.
But
I'll be totally upfront and honest.
I would too. I mean, I don't know, even after a 2-year coating, it still looks pretty good.
Yeah,
And
no,
it seems that even when you want to recoat, the prep isn't such a problem like it is, just kind of a light cleaning and it looks pretty good. And then if you recoat it, but I've been using it.
RYMA.
And it's made in Wisconsin?
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, no, it's produced and manufactured up north.
Yeah.
We're an authorized vendor for Rymar, so it's not something that typically.
You don't have it in stock, that you have to order it,
we
but
do
now he
special
takes
order.
online orders, which, but that is an impressive product.
Yeah.
For decks, which are real problematic.
Oh, absolutely. And the nice thing with some of those Rymar products too, is it's wet on wet application. So you don't have to wait until the first coat fully dries before you can go hit it with the second coat and finish it off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I will say I've heard some great things about those products. I know a few people I work with that absolutely swear by them. One thing to keep in mind with the Rymar products is, it is better part of double the cost of the super deck per gallon. So you got to keep that in mind when factoring, longevity of the product versus the performance characteristics. It's a great product, but it's not cheap.
No, it isn't, but it holds up. And it looks, I mean, it just is a really good, and I've just never found anything like, that even comes close to it.
And I will say too, if you like a little bit of sheen, if you like nobody wants to have a super glossy deck because then it becomes, a slip hazard. But if you want a little bit of sheen to it, our super deck line is only a flat finish, whereas the Rymar does have they call it a rain wet finish.
Yes.
Which I personally think looks really nice. So, yeah, I'm happy you brought that up. Those are great products.
Yeah. That would be a line or a product you guys would, if he ever sells it, I don't know the chemistry behind what, or how he does it, but.
Yeah, no, I'd be curious to know more too. I believe actually there's a mosquito repellent additive in it too. If I remember correctly. I'm not making that up. I promise I'm not making that up. Yep, there we go. See, I was gonna say, you can fact check me on that.
But it is.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Maybe you got one?
I've got an aluminum clad wood patio door that the frost works its way in. I've got to sand the bottom of the door off and refinish it. What should I use for that?
So is it everything previously painted?
It was the inside was stained, the outside's painted. It's aluminum clad wood patio door.
Gotcha. Are
And
you
it
trying
was-
to repaint both sides or what?
No, I just want to finish the inside because the frost is making it black because the water and the moisture comes in the wintertime.
Gotcha.
So I got to sand it down and I got to refinish it with something. So what would I use?
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of refinishing, I mean, I would stick with that. I like that spar urethane. It's a good moisture resistant product.
okay.
So even if it's not something that's gonna be taking on direct sunlight all the time, that'll be good to help repel that moisture.
Dave, if it turns black along the bottom where the glass is, I'm sure Sherwin has it, it's wood bleach, it's called. And you put
Okay,
an A, B part on, you put the A on there, then you put the B part on there. It takes that black out of the
Mhm.
wood, brings it back to a normal size, a normal shade that you can actually restain. and
Okay.
match the rest of it.
okay, there's a bleach, okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, that's not a product that we would normally keep on our shelves, but I made the mosquito store order some recently, so we've got it.
There's an actual use it.
Yeah, oh, I'm with you.
Can you speak to the shelf life of these things? I mean, it's better to buy a quart or a gallon if you have a smaller project. Can you keep that in your workshop for 2 or 3 years and still use it?
Oh, absolutely. Just keep the can sealed. It'll be good for a long time. For sure. I mean, the biggest things that you run into are, if you open and close the can too many times, occasionally the lid won't seal fully. That's where you can encounter some issues with either it drying out or, if the can's exposed to moisture and it starts rusting, that's where you encounter problems. But the
What about
product
frost?
itself,
What
will
about frost?
don't let them freeze. Don't let anything freeze. I mean, oil base tends to hold up a little bit better to colder temperatures. Obviously, water, when it hits below 32, you got a problem. And in general, if a coating freezes, it's done. Don't try to use it again. I mean, paint, I've seen some paint personally. We had, a few years ago when we had that polar vortex moment, I had a whole pallet delivered to my store that showed up and with the consistency of oatmeal. Because the heater in the truck blew and there goes 80 gallons of paint. So don't let it freeze. I've seen too many people lose good paint because they left it in the garage over the winter.
One thing I really like about your store is I can take a gallon of paint that hasn't been stirred in 5 years and I can bring it in and you shake it up for me. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. Oh, yeah. That's the easy one.
But just when it explodes in the machine.
I totally haven't had to replace a pair of shoes from doing that at all. That's any other questions?
For a front porch, is there some kind of clear finish that you can add sand to for traction?
Non-slip.
So we carry a product called Shark Grip. It's a texture additive. I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't remember if it's a silica sand or if it's something similar to that. But yes, we do have an additive that we can mix into the coating at the store for a traction additive.
Does that settle all over time or?
Yes, so I always recommend, if you're gonna be adding any sort of texture additives to paint, either have the store shake it up and use it the same day, or bring it back in to get it shaken up before you're gonna be using it. Cause yeah, otherwise you're gonna have spots that are smooth and other spots that are really clumping up.
Is there a product like that that can go on over a stain? like this spar urethane or not, or does?
So I typically avoid recommending adding anything to the clear coats because it has a tendency to cloud the finish. So, a lot of those products, as they kind of work their way into the coating, it can turn that clear coat milky white, and that's not really the best look, I would say.
I was just at the Home and Garden Show and like every aisle had a finish your garage floor
Mhm.
vendor there. And I wondered, does Sherwin-Williams get into that with epoxies or
Oh, yeah.
paints and really?
Absolutely.
And can you do it yourself satisfactorily?
So we do. So I mean, whether or not you're satisfied with it, I mean, ultimately that'll be down to the application. We do have some products that are made for the do-it-yourself customer. For refinishing garage floors. So one thing I will say with floors in general, they tend to be the trickiest surfaces to paint because, one, the prep is critical. If you've got any sort of moisture, any sort of grease or oil left over from cars, dirt, dust, anything like that, that can impact the adherence of the coating to the floor. And when you think about, you're not walking on the walls or the ceiling or your cabinets, hopefully. But if you're, your garage floor is going to be taking a lot of weight from a car, from just typical foot traffic. So it's something that it can be done, but I always recommend, prep when it comes to floors in particular is of utmost importance. I do work with a handful of contractors that do garage floors. Typically, they're branching out a little bit more into some of our industrial product lines for some of the more, solvent-based epoxies. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the standard garage kits that we have in store, I've seen a couple of them in person. They do work, and you can, if you want, you can do the whole color flake thing and throw a clear coat over the top. There are some options for it. Yeah.
My experience with the epoxy floor is that even though they say they're rated to hold up the tire temperature,
Mhm.
when I was driving a 3/4 ton pickup and I coming in from a lot of freeway driving, those tires were hot and that paint eventually did blister.
Yeah.
I also found too that because the surface was so smooth that when I'm woodworking down there and there's dust on the floor, that was like ice.
Mhm. Yeah, so that is something important to keep in mind. I mean, I personally haven't been at any jobs or spec any jobs for garage floors where I knew it was going to be used as a wood shop, so I haven't personally encountered that dust issue. But going to the point about hot tire pickup, that is part of the reason why a lot of our professional customers are using more hot solvent-based epoxies because they can handle that kind of stuff.
Also, the flakes you throw down
Mhm.
will give you some sort of a texture
Mhm.
for non-slip.
Yeah, absolutely. Just don't put too many clear coats over the top. All right, anything else? Or are you guys ready to get into the actual, the trim paints and primers?
There you go.
All right, so for any of your projects where you're looking to use a solid color rather than a stain in the finish, these are the handful of paints that I typically recommend for those kind of projects. So all of these are enamels, so they're going to be good, durable products that are meant specifically for woodwork and are meant to hold up to the typical wear and tear that a set of cabinets or some trim work would get. I'm going to start off with that top left, our emerald urethane trim enamel. That is by far one of the best products we make, point blank period. I absolutely love this stuff. It is the best covering trim paint we make. It is the most durable. It is the most washable. When this stuff reaches a full cure, it is literally industrial strength scratch resistant. They've tested it against a variety of other coatings in our lab, and it doesn't crack. If you prep the surface right, it's not going to crack. It's not going to peel. It will hold up and it will look really nice. I've used it personally. I did a set of cornhole boards. I helped one of my buddies do that. And think about it, right? You're throwing bags at it all the time. Maybe somebody's spilling some beer on it. A couple years later,
Beer, oh, come on now.
Who spills beer?
I know, you're wasting some good beer there. I know it sucks, but I'm telling you, it wiped right off. There's not a scuff on it. I mean, it's really durable. The top left, the emerald urethane, yeah. So the emerald urethane is another one of those hybrid coatings that I referred to. So it is still a water-based product, but it's modified with some urethane resins to give it that additional level of durability. So it's something that once it reaches a full cure, I mean, I've personally gone up to a cabinet and just done this and I wasn't scratching. The nice thing with this too, so the emerald is the only one of our trim paints that's available for tinting in really dark colors. So if you've got something that you're looking for, a black, a navy blue, a dark brown, a deep maroon color, anything like that, any of the other options I'm going to talk about, they are not physically able to be tinted that deep of a color. So when you're looking for darker colors, especially, you know, I'll give an example. My stepsister does, she owns a couple of Airbnbs and she wanted to redo some of her cabinets and she did them like a really nice forest green color. This was the product she used. The other products couldn't be tinted that dark and it turned out really nice.
How good do they self-level on very close surfaces?
In terms of, so all of these have some self-leveling capability. The emerald is by far the best. I mean, in terms of final appearance and finish, it levels out really nicely.
And does it really do good on the vertical surfaces?
Oh yeah,
Brush or roller? Brush or roller for it?
you can use both. So with all of these, you can use a brush or a roller, whichever you're more comfortable with. Typically, a lot of times guys will be cutting in around the edges with a brush and then they'll roll any sort of flat panels they can with a mohair or a microfiber mini roller, something like that. But yeah, either way you go, it'll work well.
What's the sheets?
Sheens, satin, semi-gloss, and gloss. And that'll be the same for all of these trim paints. The lowest sheen that's going to be available is a satin finish. And the highest is going to be a full gloss. Most people stay away from the full gloss because they don't want the cabinets to look like their car. Satin and semi-gloss are by far going to be the two most popular finishes. And one thing I will say, and this goes for all the clear coats as well, if when you're talking about any sort of projects you're doing, obviously durability is going to be important, washability is going to be more important, and something to keep in mind is the shinier a coating is, typically the more washable it's going to be. So if inherently a semi-gloss is going to be more washable than a satin, just because of that extra sheen to it. So moving on from the emerald urethane, we then get to our family of Pro Classic products. So we've got three options here. We've got our standard waterborne acrylic, we've got a 100% oil, and we've got a hybrid option. So you've got a water-based coating, so easy soap and water cleanup. You've got the hybrid, which is my favorite of the three because you've still got that soap and water cleanup, but it flows and levels a bit nicer, akin to the oil-based version. And then for anybody that just likes working with oil-based products, if you want that harder finish, one thing I will say between the oil and the water-based versions, I mean, oil-based products, they tend to dry to a harder finish, but they're also more brittle. So if you're working with anything that might have any sort of flex in it, water-based coatings will be more forgiving in those circumstances where an oil is more prone to cracking over time. So all three of these products, durability wise, they're going to be a step up from a standard wall paint. They're going to be meant to take some abuse, some wear and tear, not to the level of that emerald, but they are still good, solid enamel products. They're all of these products that I'm mentioning, they're spec'd specifically for woodwork. I've seen people use them on walls. I don't really know why, but they, you know, at the end of the day, these are all products that will allow you to get a nice finish, allow you to, you know, protect the wood that you're working on, and give you a few options in terms of sheens and colors as well. And then in terms of priming, so we do have a few different options because most of our products, I'm not really going to recommend that you go straight on to bare wood. If you're going to be painting any sort of woodwork, I typically am going to recommend a primer first. Got a few options on here depending on the type of project you're working on. Premium Wall and Wood is our standard water-based primer that I'd recommend for most bare wood. It's a really nice product. It sands to a good powder, so it's a really easy product to work with from that standpoint. Especially if you're using just like a sanding block or doing something by hand. You want something that's gonna sand nice and even. It's not gonna give you too many issues there. And that is really nice in terms of helping get a smoother finish on your top coat. let's say you've got something, if you're repurposing or redoing something, let's say somebody's storing some furniture and it's got a previous stain on it. Once you sand it down, that oil-based stain that's still in the wood, if you go straight over it with some paint, that stain is going to bleed through and ruin your paint color. So anytime you're dealing with any sort of painting stained woodwork, you want to use an oil-based stain blocking primer like the Extreme Block here. We've got a few options in terms of oil-based primers, but the general rule of thumb, we have some water-based primers that say they're stain blocking. Stay with the oil, please.
Is that tintable?
Yes, yes, so lighter, so all the primers can be tinted, to lighter colors. There's no, you can't tint the primers super dark, there's just not enough room in the can to add a lot of tint. But you can tint them, up to a, you know, a light gray or a tan or anything, just to get in the ballpark of the color that you're ultimately trying to hit. So Extreme Bond primer, this one is a little bit of a cheat code here. So Extreme Bond is meant specifically for smooth and slick surfaces and promoting adhesion to surfaces that are difficult to stick to. It'll stick to fiberglass, it'll stick to PVC, it'll stick to a heck of a lot of stuff. So what I'm saying is, if you've got, if you're taking on a project and let's say, you know, once again, furniture refinishing, maybe you don't have to sand the clear coat completely off of it. Maybe you just scuff it with something like a 220, just get a little bit of what we call a scuff profile, just a little bit of texture for that primer to bite onto. That way, you don't have to sand it all the way down to bare wood. You don't have to worry about an oil-based primer. You can just roll with that Extreme Block, it'll adhere to the surface, and then you're ready to go with the paint. And then the last one I have on here for any outdoor product or projects, let's say you're doing some outdoor furniture and you'd rather paint it than stain it. I've got our exterior oil-based wood primer at the bottom. So that one's nice because it'll block any sort of tannins in the wood. It'll seal off the surface. And once again, just prep the surface for painting. And going off of that, I forgot to mention with that emerald urethane, that's the only one of these trim paints on this list that is available for interior and exterior use. So that product is durable enough, you can throw it outside, it'll hold up. One of my favorite things about it, let's say you're doing some home improvement projects, you want to touch up the house a little bit, make it look nice, maybe repaint the front door. The emerald urethane is the only one of these products you can paint both sides of the door with the same paint and you know it's going to hold up well. The Pro Classic's not designed to go outside, whereas emerald, it'll hold up all day. So
As far as these primers, which one would be close to an enamel undercoating?
enamel undercoating. What do you mean by that?
It's like a sandable for interior, so you can put a gloss paint over it.
So I mean, in terms of something like that, wall and wood primer, I mean, that's gonna be the easiest option, in terms of sanding. That one's the nicest one to work with there.
What if you don't know what first before you put down, prior to put down, and then what the other, don't know. Can you sand that up and just use this Sherwin time over that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not knowing what their base coat was.
Yep. So yeah, the nice thing with that is, I mean, water-based products in general, they will stick to other water-based products, they will stick to oil-based products. So when in doubt, yeah, that's a good product to throw on there just to make sure whatever you're top coating it with is gonna stick.
Available in pints, quarts, gallons?
Yes, so for all of the trim products, let's see here. So the emerald urethane, the Pro Classic waterborne, I don't know, actually, I don't know about the hybrid Pro Classic and the oil. I know the emerald urethane and the standard water-based Pro Classic are available in quarts. All four of them are available in gallons and 5-gallon buckets. And as for the primers, let's see, premium wall and wood is available in quarts. Extreme Block exterior oil wood primer is available in quarts. Extreme Bond, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say they're all available in quarts and gallons and 5-gallon buckets if you're getting your dishes.
5-gallon bucket. No.
You doing a house or?
Yes, so with the exception of a couple of the stains, well, the poly is like I recommend, I stick to brush and roll. All of the paints and primers that I mentioned on here, all available to spray. So one of the nice things with all of our paint products is that on the side of the can, it will actually show you the recommended type of brush, the recommended type of roller, as well as spray settings in terms of tip size, recommended PSI. It's all right there on the can for you.
And will it tell you what you have to mix with it or thin out?
In general, with our products, I recommend thinning no more than 5% with water. I've seen some people go to 10%, but you know, one thing you gotta keep in mind is, you know, if you're spraying something and it's thinned down and you go back to touch it up, if you don't thin down the paint that you're touching it up with the same ratio, you're gonna be able to notice the difference in that color. But in general, I will say any of these, if you thin them down 5% with water, or in the case of the oil-based Pro Classic, thin it down 5% with mineral spirits. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Thank you very much for the discount that you've given us at Sherwin-Williams.
Oh,
Can
absolutely.
you talk a little bit about that, like, you know, up to 40%, up to 40%?
Yeah, so the nice thing, being a member of the guild, you get automatic access to discounts at our stores. All you've got to do is mention that you're with the Wisconsin Woodworkers Guild, and there is an automatic discount set up for you. That will get you 15% off right off the bat on all supplies. If you're buying anything in a case quantity, it'll be 20% off. And then when it comes to a lot of our paints and stains, I don't know that there's necessarily a flat discount, but there are pretty competitive discounts across the board on all of these products. I mean, to give you an example, the emerald urethane trim enamel list price on that product is nearing $110 a gallon. And the guild, you can get it, I believe it's about 58, 59. So you guys get some discounts.
You need a code or something?
You have a customer number or something?
Yeah.
Because I tried to do this at the Sherwin store.
And they couldn't find you?
Absolutely, no, repeatedly, they said we searched under Guild, we searched under Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And nothing.
Yeah, so I believe I sent you an email with the account number.
Oh, geez, yeah, what was it? That's right.
Let me see here.
So we have to know that, we have to know that.
Yeah, so the way our system works, it's not like Google where if you type something in and it's close to what you're looking for, it'll pop up with the results. If you don't type the name in the system exactly as it's entered, you're not gonna find it. So especially if the woodworkers discount hasn't been used at that particular location, they might have some trouble.
Yeah, I've got it here, Jack.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, there is an account number that you can give it to the store. They can, do you have like an email list you can send out to them or?
Guys got a pencil? I'll put on the board, I'll put on the board up here. Do all that, all the way above.
That's the phone number that's on file. If you'd like me to change that, I can. have it. Yeah, well, if you don't know, I definitely don't know.
Jack, I'm aware that contractors have another grade of product that they have access to, a better grade of keys or things that are we privy to those, or, and what's the difference?
So,
5 gallons.
so we do have a handful of different product lines that are designed specifically for contractor use. But I mean, when it comes specifically to wood products, they're using the same products I'm recommending here. In terms of wall paints, you know, when I say contractor grade wall paints, that typically means a little bit on the cheaper side. That's gonna be more so products that are designed for apartment repaints or new construction markets where it's a lot of a lot of.
In my way.
Oh, okay, I'll just maybe I'll just wheel this over here, no. So, yeah, a lot of the contractor design products, I mean, they're still good paints, but at the end of the day, they're designed a little bit more for large scale projects, right? You know, if someone's building a new warehouse, they're not gonna be using $80 paint for that whole thing, just for the sake of cost on a big scale. But to answer your question, I mean, these products in particular are what our contractors are gonna be using for woodwork in general. So there are some differences for, you know, some of the wall paints, some of the floor paints, but in terms of woodworking products, one thing I can touch on, because a few people did mention that they have some sprayers, I can talk a little bit about some of the spray clear coats. So once again, can I just get a quick show of hands? Who's got, any sort of airless spray unit or air assisted, anything like that? All right, so are we typically using those to spray, lacquers? Is that typically what you're using them for?
I use it to find everything in actors and rain them with their, paint on their ponds.
Yep. Yep. Gotcha. So yeah, we do have some products that are designed specifically for spray application. A lot of our lacquers in the Sherwood line are not products that you can brush and roll. They're only warranted for spray work. But the nice thing with those, I mean, you can get a really nice finish on a poly by brushing it, but you're never gonna get that factory finish look unless you're spraying something. That's, yeah. Well, and that's where something like our pre-catalyzed lacquer, that's one of our go-to products. It comes in a few different finishes. We call them dull rub, medium rub, and bright rub finish. And basically that lacquer, it's a catalyzed product with okay. Got it, will do. So the catalyzed products more or less have a hardener in them that allows that product to cure to a harder, more durable finish. The thing with catalyzing lacquers or any sort of products like that, typically they require a catalyzed sealer too. So you want to make sure you're working with systems that are compatible in terms of sealers and top coats. Because you will have chemical incompatibility issues if you take.
Yeah, if I go to one store and build that nice one, and I got the same store, what do you recommend?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing too, those products, they're, every single one of our products has a data page associated with it, and right on the data page, it will recommend, if you're looking at the sealer, it will recommend the top coat. And it'll have all the information, all the stores have the information in terms of catalyzing the product. We do all that for you. We get the stores get the catalyst in gallon sized buckets, and you only need about 3 ounces of it per gallon of lacquer. So we don't charge anything for the catalyst. We just do it at the store. And then from there, it's kind of like an epoxy where it has, once it's mixed, it's got a pot light to it. So where a standard polyurethane can sit in your shop as long as it doesn't freeze for a couple of years. A catalyzed lacquer will fully harden within, some of them it's 3 months, some of them it's 4 months, but when you hit that 90-day or 120 days, it's gonna harden in the bucket. So definitely something to keep in mind, but those catalyzed products, especially if you're getting up to like something like conversion varnish, if you're looking for a clear coat for, a wooden staircase, or if you want just the absolute most durable clear coat finish possible, on some cabinets, conversion varnish is the way to go. But once again, that stuff's got an even shorter pot life. It's expensive, but it's durable for sure.
Do they have a finish that's okay? The previous to the floor was done in the water based finish, and it's worn through in spots. Do they sell a product that I can just let me sand the floor and using a sprayer to coat my floor?
So I personally, we don't have a ton of clear coats specifically in terms of like polys for floors. We do have one that's literally called the Minwax polyurethane floors. That's a water-based product, but as far as I'm aware, that's not spec for spray. I believe that product is only meant for, brush or like a landfill pad application. Hey, a pad and an extension pole, that means you don't have to, work as hard, get as low, so.
I think that's originally what they did, is use the finish floor with wide.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. Any other questions?
Those catalyzed lacquer products, is that just clear coats?
Yes.
Okay, and then if you want to get into colors like, whites or something like that, it's the epoxy.
So there are, so now that I think about it, there are pigmented lacquers as well. The one thing I will say with the pigmented lacquers, there is a specific colorant system for tinting those products. So Sherwin-Williams manufactures all of our own tints. We manufacture a set of tints specifically for water-based products, another set specifically for our oil-based products. And then there is another, what we call industrial colorants that are made specifically for, lacquers and a lot of some of the more heavy duty epoxies, things like that. So what I will say is we do carry pigmented lacquers, however, it's hit or miss store to store on whether that store, typically only our bigger, more commercial focused locations are going to have the tinters to tint any sort of pigmented lacquers. So we do have them, but, you know, for example, the store in Waukesha over on Sunset, I used to manage that store. We used to tint a ton of lacquer over there, and I know they still do. So that's a store, if you're looking for a solid color tinted lacquer, you can go over there and get that. But for example, if you ran to the Muskego store, they don't have the equipment to tint that product. So just something to keep in mind. Sir?
Any question, others may have some ideas. If you overdo it on Minwax or one of other stains, it's too dark, any way to go back, I guess you could sand, obviously. You talked about bleach, anything that would take the shade back.
You know, I have seen people just wipe the wood with a little bit of thinner.
How about it's dry? And makes it tougher.
Yeah, if it's dry, then you're probably looking at sanding it, yeah.
Yeah, sanding would be it. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably your best option.
Yeah, bleach would work.
Well, the one thing with the bleach is it's easy to go too far. So that's the one thing I'd be cautious of is, you know, if you get a spot that all of a sudden is back to, you know, whitish, then you're redoing it either way.
How many products are we looking at, for example, if you make an outdoor chair? You seal it, enamel it, seal it, prime it, enamel it, and then a finish on top of it?
So it depends on, if you're gonna be painting it, all you really need to do is just sand it down, prime it, and paint it. All of our exterior coatings, if you're using an exterior paint or if you're using that Emerald product, they don't need any sort of clear coat or sealer over top. So those paints are designed to hold up as they are, as a top coat. So all you gotta do is prime and paint it. And then if you're looking for, you know, a more traditional wood grain look, yeah, then you sand it and, you know, you could apply a clear sealer, or you could just go with several coats of like the spar urethane, just 2 to 3 coats of that, and you're good to go.
I primed it and painted it with enamel.
Mhm.
I wanna say not Sherwin products, and it all peeled up and it's a big mess.
So
It's awful.
I will
I
say,
have to start all over.
I appreciate that.
Good.
So I will say, peeling paints, a lot of times peeling paint is caused by a moisture issue or some sort of dust. I recently was working with, is everybody familiar with Rogan's Shoes, like the shoe store?
Yeah.
I was working with them, they're working on some remodels, and they came to me for some recommendations on some paints to redo all their shelving in the stores. I gave them some recommendations for some great durable products. They went and repainted these cabinets, and they came back to me and said, Jack, they're peeling, this is terrible, what's going on here? I went out and took a look at it, I went like this on one cabinet, and my fingertip was covered in dust. Doesn't matter how good the paint is, if you're not doing the right prep work, most of the time, peeling is either gonna be caused by dust or debris on the surface, or it's gonna be caused by moisture. A lot of times, decks, for example, will peel because someone has stained the top of the deck, but they left the bottom unfinished. And so over the course of the winter, all that moisture starts rising up through the wood and starts pushing the stain right off the boards. So in a lot of cases, when it comes to peeling, it's usually due to prep work.
These were sitting on the porch, you know, not getting direct, you know, there was an eave over it, but they were sitting out. So, and they were totally sealed with everything, you know, with the paint and the primer, and it's still just, well, I'm using Sherwin-Williams next time.
Yeah, give us a shot, maybe we can make it up to you.
So I've been making cribbage boards and I spray with a Minwax
Mhm.
aerosol polyurethane. I buy at Menards.
Yep.
Is that something you carry in a mosquito store?
Yeah, we don't carry a ton of their aerosols, but yeah, we do have a few of them. Are you using the typical just oil-based like satin or semi-gloss finish? What are you
Yeah.
using? Yeah,
I'll show you after a picture of product I'm using, but.
okay, yeah, for sure.
That's it?
Yeah, anybody else, got any final questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Cool, well, I appreciate it.
You got one thing here before the break. You've got a Kevin and Julie, they got some tools they want to sell, they got some information you want to dish out first. Then we'll take about a 10-15 minute break and come back, show and tell and the raffle.
Hey, Jack?
Thanks, Dave, for having us. My name is Kevin. This is Julie. For those of you that have been members here for 20 years or more, that's when I was a member. But I'm currently not, but I'm seeing all these great tools and this great shop and everything, and I'm contemplating joining again. So Julie here lost her husband a few years ago. And now she has finally gotten to the point where she's ready to let his tools go. So she didn't really know exactly what to do, and through mutual friends, a number of us came over, and just like the guild would normally do for one of its members. And we took a look at everything that she had, and we started to categorize it, and then start to give her some guesstimated prices on these tools. So there's, as usual in any shop, there's an incredible amount of stuff that's down there. But what we've done is we've isolated some of the bigger equipment to start out with. So I'm just going to read you briefly some of the materials that she would like to get rid of first, and then there'll be another offering later for hand tools and things like that. Okay. Well, I told her, you know, she was a little leery about going to Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and not knowing anybody and such. And I told her, I said, well, you know, the guild, they're a great bunch of people, close-knit group. They're people that we can trust, so that she shouldn't feel any kind of problem about having some of you people come in and just take a look at everything. But for the most part, we brought pictures of about 8 pieces of equipment, and we have a list that we can hand out of other stuff that's bigger and it's got pretty good value to it. So what we've got here is we've got a 6-inch, or we've got a 14-inch variable speed Delta lathe, a Delta spindle sander, a wet dry sharpening system by Delta, a Delta dust collector, a tenoning jig, a 6-inch joiner, a 12-inch planer. There's also a very nice Craftsman drill press with an extended table system that goes with it. It's a floor model. There's a Craftsman mortising machine, complete with all the bits. A jet air filtration system mounted on the ceiling. It's got a Tormac system with a bunch of jigs that go with it. That anybody that's used one of those, especially turners, they're great to have. We've looked at all of this stuff, and like pretty much we took the original pricing, cut it in half, and then looked on eBay and Craigslist and saw what the stuff was selling for, and then kind of put a value on it. All of these prices that are on the sheet are negotiable. There's an Incra router jig table set up there, the fence system, a lay dovetail jig. There's a radial arm saw in case you want to live dangerously. There's a set of Sorby chisels, another set of German carving tools. There's a set of 8 Pinnacle wood turning tools in a custom-made box. Her husband turned out some very impressive work. So if you're interested in any of this material, you can come and see us at the break. We've got some pictures to show you, and we've got a list that we can give you. Yeah.
Where is this house located?
Walking shop, 164 Cleveland.
Okay.
It's near the new water tower. That's that.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to come in and
Thank you.
visit with you and present this to you. Thank you.
One quick question. Real quick point, I know we got some new people here, in case you haven't seen, we've got some blue nice books here.
Okay. And one other thing, we got Fred's gonna open up the shop next Wednesday, the 10th, from 9 to 12. So if you guys can make it, give Fred a call or email him. And if nobody calls or emails, we won't be here. So
He'll be here.
You'll be here, okay. Okay, take about a
Well,
10,
I did
15-minute
go
break,
to
come on down,
the
we have the
site,
raffle and.
And I saw a classified section there, but it didn't say anything about how to post it somehow. Well, and so that's one of the things I wanted to talk to somebody about, it's like I said, on the site. It's got a classified section, it doesn't say how to post anything. And I didn't know if you had to be a guild member. No.
When they did the website, they changed the classified. Can anybody do the classified on the new website? If you give it to him, we can put, we can put it.
I can send one to them.
He doesn't publish it.
Gotta get my pen out. Yeah, always have a pen. Yeah. Go ahead.
Kenosha Senior Center
Yeah,
is looking for a blade with a 14-inch swing.
that's what it is. It's a 14-inch variable speed swing.
Put there, there. On my business card, I'll give it to the man in charge of the Kenosha Senior Center.
Okay.
I got you my pen if you want. You gotta have one.
Okay, so. Lloyd, taking down. Email. So that's, we want to send you the list.
Or that's something else.
I'm gonna take this card and send you the lead and the list.
Yeah. After me, and my email address.
Okay, perfect. Because here's some, we've got some.
I will go away from that. I will.
That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he wants the fully one or if he wants a variable speed dial.
I don't know what, the open, they say that sometimes the window will crack because of this area of. But they also have a company that makes a retrofit kit to fix it all. And it's not very expensive at all. It's like, I think it's $8 and replace the internal pole. But everything he's got is on tape. So you can roll it around in your shop and go.
I'll bring it to his attention and I'll let you know.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you very much. Does anybody else need to see some pictures? You looking for the router table? The router table?
Oh,
On task. Okay. All of his equipment is on task.
yes. So you move it.
Let me know. Give her a call at that number or email her. She will, remember to tell her that you were a guild member because, yeah, no, and it wants to feel safe.
I didn't walk in the city, where I am before.
I know. Oh, okay.
Not that hard.
No,
You wanted to do the router thing.
we don't have a picture of that.
I got
It's,
it.
it is a handmade box with two doors and a drawer. And then it's got a fab top for a drop of router. Micro adjust. And then it's the normal gold this way, and it's got two or three attachments for doing different things. I did not see, didn't find them yet. Inserts to make it go 1/32 of an inch everywhere, but you can buy those in a bag kind of thing. Yeah.
See, were you?
Oh, yes, I see.
Those are the pinnacle, and those are like almost unused. Yeah.
How quickly are you trying to get things
It's faster or slow as I can.
Because
Oh, sorry.
I would like to buy a digital printer, but I don't have one, but I've. So I just wasn't sure, like.
Sure. Hi, Steve, I'm Julie.
You're the ratio.
Yes, that's my cell phone number.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure like how quickly, like, if I could get something to you, like, speak on it, or like, just, okay. I will send you an email.
Okay, yeah, and I had to rewrite it. We forgot to put 47 in.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah.
No. It's my friend. Okay. It's listed as well.
Yeah.
The people that I
Like, if I have.
and it's all about like that. And lots of us woodworkers went over there and he looked at it. So there's like, there's a couple of nice quarter table routers there. And
I
they're
think it comes apart.
nice areas.
And I flipped them one end and moved it.
Like 9 on
We,
that.
and I needed a picture of the keyboard. I couldn't find it.
You
So
know,
I
and
lifted up
you
the
look
one
at them
end.
online, they want like $60 for them.
And it
You know, yeah, no, it's nice. You know, they're $25.
Yeah. Now, what one? The joiner, does that come apart? Is that?
Yeah, both of the chambers can be out,
Okay.
can be bolted. But then you have the cast iron base. I mean, the thing is gonna be, you need 2 people with no back problem to get it up and out of.
Okay.
But yeah, if you make arrangements for 2 strong people, it can be taken apart.
Would it be easier, like,
It's all in the base.
like if you brought like a dolly or anything with that, or not really? It probably be better to like try to.
It'd be better to carry it
Yeah.
because the stairs goes up, it takes a turn,
Okay,
and then goes up
okay,
again.
okay.
It's not a straight shot.
Okay, yeah, like, I definitely, I am
We took a look at all of the tools. They're all in, I would call, very good condition. Okay, very good condition.
No, I'll just, I'll just.
Mark it off the list and put
Yeah.
their name next to it.
Yeah.
I got someone who lives here,
What are you making?
Well, so I want to make cutting boards and like charcuterie boards.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to like, of course, cut down the giant wood.
Yeah.
Like smaller pieces, to then do it on the table saw and.
Yeah, you need a joiner, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'll email you tonight.
Can I hear you?
Like, oh, that's- you're an extra little-
Can you let her see your list for a second?
You know, yeah.
There was fencing there by chance?
There was.
Was, okay.
Sorry, the evaluation crew somehow liberated that. I will tell you, there is a radial arm saw workbench. It's like 8 feet out this way and 5 or 6 feet out that way.
Yeah, that's the big
Yeah, mine too. Her name is Julie Clarkowski, Kevin Clarkowski. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think my member number was either 35 or like 105, something like that. Clarkowski. Yeah, it's Clark and Alski. Yeah. Who? No, don't remember that.
That's my son's.
Oh, my. That's very nice. You got chops on there?
I'm sorry?
Chops on there?
Yeah.
Yeah. That, what's that? Makita?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I only know them by colors. Yeah. Yellow DeWalt, red Milwaukee. That's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Up by Boston.
My dad did the same thing.
Did he? Well, and I told her, I says, you know, these are the people that will know somebody or they will want it.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about advertising and pay
Yeah.
a marketplace. Yeah. Yeah.
That should be more comfortable knowing that are coming there are.
From the guild. Yeah.
And it's totally safe.
Yeah, yeah, very much so.
Oh, okay.
Do you live in Wauwatosa? No.
Hey, let's take your seats, guys, trying to get going here.
Did you rent a state?
What are you building?
I'm not sure. No, I'm. I made a great.
Wow, that's a big project.
My dad now. Now I'm making a pull-out picture.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, it's a little more between my mom, we're just finishing it up, and my dad. A lot of them.
Good for you.
You know.
Oh.
Like, look, and I have my mom's number and mine were one number apart, and I got her half hour late. Oh my gosh. Over here, okay.
Are they gonna come tomorrow or something? Oh, okay. So you have tools that can take it apart, and if they get stuck, don't know how to do it. I'm around this weekend. I can take it. Yeah, no, this other guy, he wants, complicated This got the Kenosha woodworker steel. Is looking for 14-inch blades.
See, this is a bag I.
So I'm gonna send him.
That's bottle. My lunch there and all kinds of. Oh, yeah. Like me too. If I ever wanted to do something to work, I put my lunch.
You don't know.
You know, and
Do you have any sheets left?
you guys are always good to ID or- I don't, I never get off my lunch. You're supposed to wear it. He's like, oh, I forgot. I'm like,
But, you know, you saw like, there's half a dozen.
you know, I. It's all.
Well, that's a fair. I mean, you want to save money, get another.
Now it's gonna be. I don't get us any stuff so far, well, that's my problem. My shotgun is, we are getting about it. My wife is on a food shop. I give you a call when I possibly be, I'll pop over and look on something. I don't know about it, so. Tomorrow and Saturday, I'm kind of, my time is slotted up with, Sunday after 1 o'clock.
I'll just put it down Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. My name's Joel. Yes. Well, at work. I said, "Did you buy it? They don't talk about it." No, I grew up. What are you about? We're not Midwest. What's the first thing about? Oh, I don't try. Yeah. I heard you describing that, yeah. Yeah.
I'm in the subdivision right behind that.
Okay, all right.
There's a big water
Oh, yeah.
tower right
Sure.
there. I'm
Okay, you guys ready for a raffle?
I got my financial.
Okay, I need a box.
I got my financial, thank you very much. Sunday afternoon, I'll sleep with it too.
Yeah, okay.
My wife. I get a lawyer though. All right. White ticket.
I give him my name.
White tickets.
Okay, guys, we're running a raffle right now. These are for a $25 gift certificates for upstairs. We got 5 of them.
I'll take two.
So the first, you take 2, $600.
Yeah.
Okay, first number is 5799.
That's me.
Okay.
Hey, Walter.
Walter, that's got rigged with Tommy, it sounds like. Yes, sir. You get Walter for tonight. Give that to Jeff or John, give it to John, you gotta sign this one.
And what you want, rec people?
Next one's 5815.
Oh.
Oh, no, I have 2 million in there.
I'm way off.
Here, I'm gonna let you have this stuff, because it's all on one computer.
It's sold by John, it's name. Okay. Where did I throw mine in there for? Move it up.
5811.
I mean, if you're available, read it now. They wanted my name and number, and I said, no, just.
Okay, the next one is 5803.
Yeah. Always.
A lot of phoning up there.
I mean, it all this stuff.
Floyd,
You have to kind of look at it.
Yeah, why don't you pick the next one?
right here, Floyd,
But it's on Casper's where you're moving it on.
you go by John and sign your life away. He gets half of it. Well, the last one for the $25 gift certificate is 5794.
A lot of times you can pick
Oh,
up
Patrick.
again because of the cantilever, you know, do that. They struggle. And you never make a turn.
Yeah, go by John. Now we got the blue tickets. How many we got, Tom? 10, okay.
What's a blue ticket?
First ticket is 8346. Last four numbers, 8346.
Nobody's coming forward.
Yes. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Go back by Tom and pick something out. Next one is 8462. Eight, 4, 6, 2. You can sit down, Steve, too. The next one's 8463. That's probably Tom with Steve also.
Oh, 8463, that's that one.
He's got that too, okay, Steve's got it.
On the 8463, it's another, just pick another number.
Pick another one, okay.
Yeah.
8377.
That's me. What is that? Oh. I heard of something.
Next one's 8453. 8453. Now the next one's 8472.
Another one of our guys. He's gonna live a good life.
Okay, 8351. 8351.
Bingo.
Dave, okay. Eight, 404. Anybody got that one? Oh, okay. Eight, 3, 6-0. Dave.
One more.
One more, okay.
Oh, two more.
Two more, okay. 8345. Yes. Did you catch it?
Yeah, give it to some.
Okay. Eight, 352. Did you again?
I'm not gonna see if I got it in work, and I'm gonna get beat up. Like a bench.
Okay, we got 8475.
Oh, put, for sanding and routing? They're bugs,
So you can,
Bugs,
as long as we get to split it. One more, Tom? 8417. 8417. Is that you, Walter? Okay, that's it. Well, I guess we're gonna have, Tammy's gonna have a couple words, I guess.
Are we gonna do saw and tell first?
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think we'll have to go to the next meeting.
Oh, okay. Well, let's have show and tell. Who's ever brought items up here?
Okay, go away, Dave. I like to make stuff in my workshop. And, one of the things, as the operator was talking about for a future meeting, maybe we have a topic where you would bring in your favorite fixture. Or shop aid.
That's cool.
Would that be a good subject matter?
Yeah.
Show some hands. When people bring stuff in, you have stuff to bring in to share, and you would come up here and just talk about it.
Sure. You know, we're looking for a June or July date, so if there's somebody interested. Go bring things in.
People would, like, when I see it, we need people to bring stuff in, I can talk about a half hour about nothing if you want me to. So anyways, this is my router, and I didn't make router, but I made a circle cutting fixture on there, right? And, I made it all for nothing, this is just stuff I had in my shop, except I had my little plastic house. And when your router vibrates, so I have these weight nuts on here, stainless steel that tighten down, and there's springs on there, so when it vibrates, it keeps tension on it, so it doesn't fall off.
Hey,
And usually you cut a circle. This is my 3/4 inch bit, and I got a 3/16 stainless steel pin there. You can put any size ruler on here. Now, I bought this ruler at Menards a few years ago when you're on rebate. Every time you're on rebate, I buy all the rulers because it's free aluminum. I can always make something out of that. So, I mean, with a circle cutting bit, you have a thing, you know, you could use a number on here, and you can't come and look at it. There's three lines here. The center line, you slide over a number, it's like number 9, so the 18-inch circle. And that's if you want to put on the center of the router bit. You would do the math. Then there's a line here that cuts on the outside of the router bit, and then the line on the inside of the router bit. So if you make them out of wood, you gotta put a peg in there, and then you make the cut, and then you measure it, and you gotta move that peg over. And you spend more time moving that peg around, or you just go, oh, this is close enough. For this, you can really loosen it up and slide it over. And decide which side you want to be on the roller bit.
That's
It's all aluminum, stainless steel hard, like even a rust. Couple pins, couple screws here, and it pops off my drawing. I engine turned all the aluminum. It kind of looks like that. It looks like the finish on a British sports car there. Or on the dash on They got Trans Am from smoking in the van, so I do that in my shop too. I'm gonna stand to help look at it. It's one of the things I make.
Another.
And I make a lot of my own biscuits and things in my shop. Yes. That's more fun than making work.
Things in it's kind of like.
No.
See, you got a mill and a lathe in
Yeah.
your shop?
Yep.
On Old Bridgeport?
Yep.
South Bend? Lathe?
Make perfect diamonds.
No,
And, this is on bulletin
Grass.
board and back,
Oh,
I'm thinking
okay.
about 30 minutes.
You know, I've got, a Sherwin
The
CNC
jig that
mill and
we'll
lathe,
make
okay.
will let you
so I'm
make
making
perfect
all
diamonds
kinds
and you
of
can
parts
glue
for
them
model.
together and
Oh, yeah.
form all kinds of different shapes and things. As another thing, for those of you that are interested.
Oh, you did?
or have
I
grandkids
used
or
to run
something like that, in Maine, they're gonna offer
Oh, okay.
the kids to be able to make these.
Before,
They will be cut
during?
and, the kids can
It
come up,
was-
they can sign up for the class upstairs. They
They
can
got
come
absorbed
and
by them.
make whatever they like from these diamonds.
I was gone about
And if
5
there's enough
years
interest
before
in
that.
it, we'll offer the
So
class.
Bridgeton is a CNC controller.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Yeah, a retrofit kit?
No. It was actually, when they closed the capital drive,
You know,
they sold a bunch of stuff.
I've been getting in the garage.
And they donated this
A lot of
one
my
to
scrap
school,
material, my
West Bend,
small
they sold it to a guy and I bought it.
Here's a couple of small bowls I made in ash and a buckthorn. Buckthorn is a really nice pretty wood, but it has a tendency to
no,
crack.
it
So you
used
have
to be 20 years ago,
process it real
but I'm
quick.
gonna reach.
Longer pieces, I'll usually make these stick pins. They're not really a pen, they're a cordless word processor. You can make out of different woods, but it's fine, you can dye them
My
different
own
colors.
teacher.
Okay, I'll take a look. Great, thank you.
200 videos.
For us. Okay. Yeah. Jason, supposed to pick up for 2 weeks, and I always want to bring something back. But this is a very nice, wood carving that somebody did in there. Most of the stuff there was done either made with a laser or came from China, so we tried to find something that was nice to set. Can't really tell with octopus on top here, they've got a shark there. Fish here, another fish here. There's really quite a lot of wood. I brought it up with people, you're really not gonna be able to see much of it. Anyway, I didn't make it.
Did you make the art?
No, I have a neighbor is, Mario Montero.
Okay, don't forget, we've got a toy workshop this weekend and also a cleanup day from 12 o'clock until we fall over.
Just hopefully, just to reiterate, Dave.
Yeah, Wednesday,
Taking wood from back.
oh yes, there's those strips between the wood rack and the other table. Take what you want.
Is there still gonna be a contest next, later this year to make something out of those pieces of wood?
Possibility, yeah. Not a whole skit on it. And then don't forget that Fred's gonna be here on Wednesday the 10th from 9 to 12. Make sure you give him a call or email him. So he knows you're gonna be here. If you're not gonna call or email him, he's not gonna be here. Just make one of them.
Just throw me an email. If you're gonna be coming.
Yes, that's all I have. Anybody have any questions out there? Yes. Oh, yes, if you wanna buy items upstairs and get the discount, You gotta have our green membership card with the barcode, yes, the barcode on the back, otherwise you will not get it.
Just.
10%.
It doesn't matter how many times-
It pays for itself, you know.
Yeah, it's gotta have the card, it's gotta go in the computer.
Sales tax plus 5%.
Other than that, I guess that's it for the meeting. Yeah. You got a safe ride home, catch you next time.
Well, I hope to see you next month.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take a look at your video.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck selling your stuff.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I'll give you a call if I talk to her. Sure.
Yeah.
Like seeing your pin router
Oh, so what?
fixture. I laid in bed, I had to make 4 straw dispensers. My wife wanted me to make for each of my kids for Christmas. And I was laying in bed trying to figure out how am I gonna cut a radial groove for the acrylic
Okay.
and follow that same groove for the outer, because I made a radius front.
Okay.
And it dawned on me, I got a router, why don't I attach a pin and
What a
I
pin?
can plunge it, works perfect. I couldn't believe it.
Here, let's
You
go.
did a nice job. on it.
Oh, shoot, I forgot to stop this.